Let's review the Cleveland Cavaliers 24-25 NBA season. Wasn't what they wanted, although it was awesome. Michael Bolton, let's go.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I'm going to be recording the next episode wearing only a flower top. Today's episode is also I'm actually the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com. I probably should have said that one, but today's episode is also brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. Guess what's coming up? NBA Draft, Wednesday, 25th of June, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm doing the Cavs season review. We've got the Pacers and the Thunder season reviews to go. Of course, we're waiting until Game 7 is over for that. Then there will be an NBA Draft big board show with Dynasty content sprinkled in. There'll be my final mock drafts, probably, because I'll probably do it it'll probably be one show, but it'll be a full 60 picks, and it'll be like what I would do versus what I think will happen. That'll come up, then there's the live draft, then we roll into draft reviews, then we roll into free agency stuff, then we roll into dynasty leagues and dynasty rookie rankings, and then I head off to Summer League, and the shows will be a little bit more sporadic during that time, but there will still be a bunch of shows that are released and pre-recorded because I'm going over for a vacation. But you'll see some stuff pre-release. That's all coming up. But the main thing now, 25th of June, is the draft. 8 p.m. live here, YouTube. Get in here. We are here on World Bathing Day. Go wash your bits. Go get everything clean. If you have access to clean water and bathing water, that's actually what World Bathing Day is about. The importance of clean bathing water. If you didn't know, now you do. Celebrate it. What else are we doing? Yeah, what did we just start to the show? Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's talk about their season, how it went. Was it good? Yes. Was it disappointing? Yes. They finished with a remarkable 64-18 record. They were one of the best teams, if not the best team, during the entirety of the regular season. Obviously, the Thunder were there too. And then they got cooked by the Pacers in the playoffs. There was a lot of injuries that happened, and that's stuff that happens. And one of those injuries is Darius Garland, who we're not going to talk about on this show. We're on the second show because we're doing the 26 and overs on this show and then 26 and unders on the next one. But he's going to be he's had a lot of injuries in his career. Now he's having a toe issue and surgery and 5 months out with that situation. And we'll see. There's always rumblings of trades. It's a little bit of a weird spot for the Cavs and for Garland after such a successful season. They don't have a first-round pick. They have pick 49, and they have pick 58 in this draft, so not exciting picks whatsoever. And if we take a look at the free agency stuff, there's a little bit here. There's not a huge amount. The non-guaranteed deals are Dean Wade and Craig Porter Jr. Wade has $4.6 million guaranteed out of his contract of about $6.5 million. Wade did drop off somewhat this season, but I still think he's a valuable player. The other one is Craig Porter Jr., who had a really good rookie season. And that was with Garland being out a lot. With Garland healthy, there was just no need for Porter to play. And with Jerome also healthy, there was no need for Porter to play as much. He doesn't have any money guaranteed on his deal. I still think Craig Porter Jr. is a rotation caliber NBA player, a backup point guard level player who might start in spots. I would think that they guarantee him, and I wouldn't be giving up full hope for him in Dynasty Leagues, but we'll talk about him again in the second show. Talking about the Cavs. Chuma Okeke was signed late in the season. He has a team option. You might not have known that Chuma Okeke was on this team. He bounced around a lot of teams towards the end of the season. I don't really think he's much of an NBA player at this point. This is where the questions start to come in because there are some important unrestricted free agents. One of those is Jerome, old milk. The other one is Sam Merrill. Now, it doesn't really matter about Javonte Green and Tristan Thompson, but Jerome and Merrill formed a really key part of this bench. They had excellent seasons, especially Jerome, a huge out-of-nowhere improvement performance that at times was underrated and at times was significantly overrated. They would be, I would think, pretty keen to bring him back. Teams I don't think are going to be looking at Jerome to be a starter and try and lure him away, but we will see what they do. But of course, with Garland hurt, with Garland and the Mitchell-Garland pairing, sometimes they, even though it worked awesomely, there's always rumblings, isn't there? Maybe Jerome wants to hang around and get himself a nice little role again. His contract will be very intriguing, but his role will be something to watch, and his production will too. And Sam Merrill, one of those other guys there, who again is a really key piece that I think other teams will really want to get, because you can get like an elite volume 3-point shooter who does it at a high level. And he's not disastrous in every other area, but he provides a really strong skill. They've got two restricted guys as well. They're both two-way players. Shaq's best mate, Amani Bates. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Shaq was going on, I don't know what show it was on, talking about how the league doesn't know what they're talking about. The Cavs are terrible. Why haven't they put Amani Bates into a large role? Because he can play and he's awesome and he should be playing. Like no, he's not. He's bad. And again, just showing that people don't know what they're talking about. I'm people. I sometimes don't know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about with Amani Bates. The other one is Luke Travers, the Aussie who was picked a couple of years ago in the second round. He came across on a two-way deal. I wouldn't say that he did a huge amount either. And I don't think that either of those guys are going to be prioritized to return. Let's talk about the first of the over 26 on this squad. And we'll go to the Don himself, Donnie Mitchell, who I thought was a pretty easy fade heading into this season. His ADP started at about 12, I believe. It ended up at around 16. That was fine for me. That's the sort of area I had him in the 20s. He ended up worse than that. And there were plenty of pretty obvious reasons, I thought. One of the obvious reasons for changes in production for Mitchell was A, Darius Garland was likely going to be healthy, and B, there was a new coach. And Kenny Atkinson was very clear. He said, we are not playing our starters, JB Bickerstaff, like 36 minutes a night. It's not happening. We are spreading the load and sharing the load. That exactly happened. Mitchell played 31 minutes a night. He was the 33rd ranked player. He was 40th post-deadline. He was fine. He was pretty good. I wouldn't say he was dominant. He averaged 24, 4.5, and 5 with 1.3 steals. He shot 37 from 3 and 3.3 threes. These are all solid numbers. He's 29 years of age. He had a 31 usage, but he played 31 minutes. And Kenny Atkinson is still there. And Kenny Atkinson's system worked amazingly well during the regular season. I don't think Kenny Atkinson playing limited or reducing the minutes and having as many blowouts as they did in the regular season is the reason they lost to the Pacers. I don't think any of that's true. So I don't know why we would expect any of this stuff to change. Will Mitchell be a better than 82% shooter from the line? Definitely possible. Will he get more assists if Garland misses some time to begin the season? Maybe, but that won't be all year. Look, what else is different here? He's 29. He's a solid, very good player. I think that we get the same stuff. So that makes him like a third-ish round player, I guess. He was fourth round in points leagues, averaging 40 points. And outside of like the season 2 years ago, he's always been in that 30 zone. That's where he's been, like hovering the back end second, early third round area. That's what he's always been. I think there was a period when he was with the Jazz that he was in the ranked 40th for like 3 years in a row or something. This is just who he is. Real outlier season the year before, through Garland being out, assists up, steals really high, and big minutes, and none of that happened again. This one I think was relatively predictable. I still didn't predict as big of a drop-off as happened, but I thought it was relatively predictable, and I think it should be relatively predictable that we get very similar numbers again. I don't really see what would change in this particular spot. We've got more of these guys we're going to talk about. Of course we do. Why wouldn't we? Before I do that, though, today's episode is brought to you by the big fellas over at Olipop. Olipop is a new kind of soda made for people who love the classic taste of soda but want something that supports their health. It's just got 2 to 5 grams of sugar in a can of Olipop and 9 grams of prebiotic fiber. Olipop, it reimagines soda in a way that is better for your gut. Traditional sodas, like a classic Coke, that's got 39 grams of sugar. What? Original Fanta, Orange Fanta, has 44 grams in a can. Olipop flips the script. With a fraction of that sugar, no artificial sweeteners, and gut-friendly ingredients like OliSmart. I got my Olipop delivered last week. They sent me 4 flavors. We've got the classic cola, root beer, which I'm not a root beer guy, so that's not for me, but the crispy apple, the grape soda was goated as well, and then the classic cola. I loved it. The feeling that I'm having a soda that tastes great and has that old classic soda feel and taste without those mountains of sugar is awesome. And that's something that I've tried to steer away from sodas, and I don't drink them at all because of the sugar content and that sort of thing. And now, with Olipop and the big delivery they gave me, I'm very happy with them, and the taste is great. And you can get yourself a free can of Olipop. Just buy any 2 cans in store, and they'll reimburse you for 1. Head to drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA to claim your free can, and find Olipop near you. That is drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, That's Don Mitchell, done from the Cavs, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's go to the next player who's in this over 26th group, and that is Jarrett Allen. Allen ended the 23-24 season injured with questions about his toughness and the brights are too light meme and injuries, and he wouldn't play, all this sort of stuff. He came out and made it a point that he was going to play all 82 games. Good for him. Well done. Right? Obviously, they limited his minutes down the stretch. He played all 82 games. He only played 28 minutes a night, though, so obviously, again, we can go back to Kenny Atkinson telling us we will not play these guys the minutes they played. And he didn't. Now, of course, you're going to look at Yahoo 9cat total rankings and see Jarrett Allen sitting at 14th, and you're going to go, is that right? Doesn't feel right, does it? Because it's not. He was nowhere near that good. In fact, by my Durant rankings, he was 75th. He averaged 13.5 points with 9.7 rebounds. Those rebound numbers, they're great. That's cool. 1.9 assists, 0.9 steals, 0.9 blocks. He shot 71 from the field and 72 from the line. All right, cool. I thought his on-court play was fine, but obviously usage very low. Rim contest numbers, fine, but he doesn't block shots like he used to at all anymore. So, Jarrett Allen is fine. If you decide that Jarrett Allen is worth a second-round pick, you are wrong. If you decide that Jarrett Allen is a solid pick in the third round, also, I believe you are wrong. If you select Jarrett Allen in round 4, I also believe you are wrong. These numbers, where you get good rebound numbers, good field goal numbers, and what else? The answer is nothing. That's not worthy of a first 5, or honestly, probably 6th round pick. If Allen is playing 28 minutes a night, and that might bump up, he might play 30. I could see going in the end of round 5, start of round 6. But otherwise, what separates this from Jakob Poeltl? Free throw percentage, sure. It's not good, but it's better. And that's where we always have these discussions. If someone is a 69, 70% free throw shooter, and someone is a 61%, well, 61's way worse. It's true, it is. But if a category is already bad, does that difference actually mean anything for you? If you've got Jarrett Allen, well, he's going to drop my free throws down a bit, and Jakob Poeltl is going to drop them down a little bit more, does it make Poeltl that much worse of a player if he's better in other areas? That's a decision that I know my answer to it. You need to sort of work out your answer to it. And it's part of the idea behind Durant and the predecessor behind this sort of stuff with -1 rankings. Is that someone being a 70% free throw shooter versus 64% guy, it's not that important. I don't think. So I look at Allen's numbers here. The only reason that this gets better is Evan Mobley's out. And he has to see more minutes, he has to block more shots, and he gets a little bit more usage. So what's the point? So I do think, now Allen was ADP 53 last season, and obviously in points leagues, he's just obviously 80th. There's no debating about ranking systems there, he's 80th. It's simple as that. He to me is probably, if I had to decide, would I take Jarrett Allen in round 5, or would I rather him in round 7? 7 is the answer, for me. Again, it is easy to look at the numbers and go, Jarrett Allen is an easy 3rd, 4th round player. To me, I don't believe that. I don't agree with that. And I don't really see what's going to change here. The thing that will always blow this idea up is if the Cavs decide, right, Mobley is our center, Allen is being traded. And then all of the dynamics always change. Because Jarrett Allen is not a bad player. He's a very good player. But it's all about context. He doesn't need usage. He doesn't need to play as many minutes. His rim protecting numbers, it's more Mobley who does that stuff. But on a different team, if he was in Daniel Gafford's role in Dallas, and they said, right, you're here, forget that Lively's there, whatever, or Gafford's old role in Washington, and Allen played 33 minutes a night, then we'd be talking about a top 40 guy relatively easily. But he's not. And those sort of things we just don't know if they're going to happen, or where they're going to happen, or when they're going to happen. Let's talk about another incredibly overrated player in DeAndre Hunter. Hunter was in the midst of, honestly, and to be fair to him, his best season without really much question at all. But he's one of the players that I find really tough to fully grasp from a fantasy perspective. His 9cat total number puts him at 104. Now, he's had a lot of knee injuries in his career. He played just 27 minutes a night, and very clearly when we put the numbers up for the pre and post trade deadline, we know where the value came from. He was 100th in Atlanta, 154th in Cleveland. Obviously, yes. He went from a guy that was not always a starter in Atlanta, but playing starters minutes, to a bench piece on a Cavs team that had a lot of good bench players, and he would play fewer minutes. Darko thought that he was a big improver, 86th percentile in Delta, while Drip had him 5th percentile, which is a little weird to me. He's not a usage player. Although, no, that's not true. 23 usage is okay, but he's not a big volume guy. He's a low passing volume guy. He's a low on ball guy. He's a poor defensive stat player, and he's not a good defender. He doesn't pass. He doesn't rebound. We know what the story is with DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter provides fantasy value when he goes on a hot streak and shoots 45% from 3 for a 2-week period. And then he shoots 60% from 2 in a 2-week period. And he does nothing else. Nothing. He is the king of 15-0-0-0-0. And that 15 comes on 7 of 9 shooting. He ended up shooting 41% from 3. It's really good. 85 from the line, 47 from the field. These are all really good numbers. But bad rebounds, bad assists, bad steals, bad blocks, average field goals, above average free throws, and honestly below average scoring. In the end, he was a threes merchant who thrived on hot streak shooting. He needed the minutes and the usage. He cannot produce in other areas, and he's always been that way. I don't really see anything being better for him. Like, he was the 129th ranked player and 131st in points leagues. Cool. Wouldn't touch him in 12-team leagues. Wouldn't draft him in 10-team leagues. I don't think that Hunter's got more than this. Again, if he was put onto a bad team and they said, play 34 minutes, have 26 usage, then we might get actually 20 points a game with 3 threes, and that becomes valuable. But that's not happening. So he sits where he is. He's 27. He's in the middle of his prime. I don't think he's going to become a steals and blocks guy, or an assist guy, or a rebound guy, or a draw free throws guy. I don't think any of that's necessarily happening. So I don't think DeAndre Hunter, again, he'll probably come in with an ADP. What was his ADP this year? 142. He'll probably come in with an ADP of 120, 115. And people go, well, that's great. Look, he's around the 120th best player, 110th best player. Let's draft him, and he's our 11th guy on our bench. But for what purpose? Why? Why would we bother with it? I won't bother with it. It'll make you look good in terms of when you do a draft and you look at projected standings, or look at your team and add up the stats and go, oh, look how strong my team is. But in reality, someone like that clogging a roster spot reduces your flexibility, and he's so up and down that it's just not worth it. So while Hunter is a useful player, and he was much better this season. He is a solid NBA rotation player. He is a solid player. Very, very solid to good player. For our purposes, in this environment, with what he does, it's borderline useless for standard formats. Now, in a dynasty league, we're talking deeper stuff. Your dynasty league might have 250 starters. So if he's 150th, incredibly valuable, because that equates to like the 70th player in a 12-team league. And in the 70th player, you want stability of value. And that is why every time we talk about all this stuff, we've got to understand the nuance behind it. If your league starts 100 people, then the value of guys changes. If they start 250 people, then someone who is just that 130th guy all the time, Bobby Portis, DeAndre Hunter, it's great. It's fantastic. You love that value. It's all about transposing numbers to suit your league size and style. And that's, I think, where we're at with DeAndre. Now we go to Milk. Ty Jerome, who I think played 2 games the previous season with an ankle injury, and they just never updated us on that ankle injury for about 3 months. He never returned, and he, of course, in Yahoo Nightcat total numbers, is the 91st ranked player. Now, again, on the surface, we all know that's insane. He played 20 minutes a night only. He was the 158th ranked player in category leagues. To me, 172nd in points leagues, averaging 22.7 points. But he was someone who was mentioned a lot in terms of this guy is awesome, he's a must-roster player. All right. He averaged 12.5 points with 1.6 threes, both below average numbers. He averaged 2.5 rebounds and 3.5 assists, both below average numbers. He got 1.1 steals. That is great. Fantastic. He did that. He also, he averaged 0.0 blocks. I don't expect a point guard like Ty Jerome to give me blocks, but the question is, and I don't know this off the top of my head, I'm going to look it up while we're talking, did he register a single block, or was the volume so low that it just turned to 0.0? Okay, 5, some of you will know this, I'm looking it up now. Over under 5 blocks for the season total. I'm going to say under 4.5 blocks is my guess. Let's bring the numbers up. Ty Jerome blocks season. Oh yeah, let's go. 4. The answer is 4. W. And actually, that's not true. The answer is 3, because one of those blocks occurred in the playoffs. 3 blocks total for the season. Anyway, now Jerome, There is no debating that Jerome was one of the most improved players in the NBA. 100th percentile Darko in Delta, of course. 87th percentile passing creation volume. High load player. Stepped up when needed. The steal numbers were solid. They were very solid. 91st percentile in deflections. I think all that sort of stuff can hold. What I would be curious about is do we believe Ty Jerome is a 44% three-point shooter, hitting 52% from the field overall and 87% from the line while generating steals at that number? Because let's put that to 30 minutes, add 50% on, so that's like 1.7 steals, 17 points, 5 assists. It's incredibly good. Do I buy that? No, I don't. Not at all. I don't buy the shooting at that level either. Now, he did it all season long until we got to the playoffs, and he really struggled. He had a 1 of 14 shooting night. He had a 40% night on 20 attempts. He had a 1 of 8 night. His last couple of games were good, but he never took any shots, and the value that Jerome was providing during the regular season just wasn't there. So again, it's going to be easy to look at the numbers and say that Ty Jerome was the 91st ranked player. He played 70 games in 20 minutes. 91st. That tells you that that player should be valued as an 8th round guy. And I will just say it now. If Ty Jerome is your 8th pick, you will lose. Very straightforward. The thing that will be different here is if Ty Jerome goes to a team and he's made the starting point guard, I'd have questions about that team. Jerome will be useful because he will hit threes, he will get assists, he will get steals. It'll be a useful combo. But that team will also go nowhere, and they will struggle with Jerome in that role, and then eventually that will be pulled back. So while it was a great breakout season, it was a huge surprise. I don't buy the shooting. He can easily have a great year shooting the three ball next season and hit 39%, and that's 5 percentage points lower. And then everything falls away. Even though you went from unbelievably good to very good. And that makes you nowhere near as valuable. So just be cautious about putting your eggs into the Ty Jerome basket. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Do you ever check your bank account and wonder where did all the money go? You're dining out, it's got online shopping, it's entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So stop just managing your money and start building your wealth. One of the best things about Monarch Money, well, a couple of things, the ability to share and track things with your partner so you can see all the joint accounts, spending all together in one place, but also the ability to have all of your financial apps in that one spot. So instead of having to open multiple bank apps and investment portfolios and check it all, Monarch Money can put it all together, enable tracking and planning to build that future wealth. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com. The code is LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Okay, let's move on to the rest of these guys in the over 26s on the Cleveland Cavaliers. You'll notice there's some guys with some really elevated numbers. Allen, Jerome, Hunter. Just all of those, I'd be incredibly cautious about how we value them next season. One of the guys who was in that boat a few years ago was the Winter Soldier, Max Strus. And we saw how that fell apart. He did have an injury to begin this season and was slow to return. He ended up playing just 25 minutes a night, and I think that number will go way up next season. But like with Strus, it is important to note that like guys like Hunter and Jerome exist. So if Strus is struggling, he won't get 30 minutes necessarily. He averages 9 points a game with 15 usage in his 50 games that he played. He was the 219th ranked player. He averaged 3 assists and 4 rebounds. And one of the things about Strus 2 years ago was the surprise passing level. But again, Jerome, more Garland, and Mitchell means that we don't need him to do that. We got more creation out of Evan Mobley as well, so we don't need him to do that. He still had the 75th percentile passing creation volume, which for a player like Strus is really impressive. He hit 39 from 3, a guy that we look at as an elite three-point shooter that hasn't really ever been an elite three-point shooter. He doesn't drop your Luke Kennard 45% from 3 every season. 39 is great. Let's just tie that back to Ty Jerome. If Ty Jerome is a 39% three-point shooter, really good. But it doesn't pay the bills. So Strus was fine. I believe Strus would have been drafted in the end of a lot of drafts. What was he? An ADP of 145. The injury hurt him. I could easily see him playing 6 more minutes next season and being in that zone of like numbers that are not quite DeAndre Hunter, but similar enough with better passing. And he's just going to be in this mix. It's these 3 players, Jerome, Hunter, and Strus, that are the everstreams. They're always there. Someone will roster them, and then they should drop them. And then you roster them again, and then you stream them through. And they can't maintain consistent top 100 or top 120 type numbers because of inconsistency in minutes, role, shooting percentages. And you look at them when the schedule makes sense, you get a 3 and 4, let's bang them in. Then we move on because 30 more Max Struses will appear across the NBA. Strus is 29. We're in his peak. Probably on the downside now. Although again, I do believe that he's going to do more next season because I think he plays more minutes. But the idea of Strus being this great category league contributor, definitely more so than points, although he was better in points than categories this season, I think is based in folly. Dean Wade has been, and I say this with no irony at all, one of the most underrated and valuable players in the NBA. He's not one of the most valuable players in the NBA. He's one of the most underrated and valuable. Like, people just don't consider that he's good, but he is really valuable. I'm a little worried about where Wade is now, given the plethora of injuries that strike him. Knees, ankles, shoulders, all the time. And one of the key things that Wade was able to do was he could play the 3, he could play the 4, he could defend multiple positions, he could shoot really well. And he is now, 28? The injuries have piled up. The shooting is still okay, but didn't hit free throws, didn't hit twos, defensive stats were gone. He lost a lot of the value, a lot of the juice that he had. His value in fantasy is not there. He is a low volume player, doesn't get usage, doesn't block shots, doesn't get assists, not a high rebounder. He hits threes, but 10% usage. And I think that time of Dean Wade being a spot starter is gone with Strus and Hunter there. I don't think he's ever going to be that guy again. I don't think he's going to be that impactful player that he's been in the past. He still played 21 minutes. He's still a useful piece on a really good team like Cleveland. But the ability for him to be that sort of a guy who would come in and play 28 minutes a night for periods of time, I think that might be over for Dean Wade. I don't know that we're getting that back. Now we get into a couple of the other older guys on the team. Javonte Green, he bounced around the league during this season. He ended up in Cleveland. He's a undersized power forward type who ended up playing 18 minutes a night with 12 usage. He's 32 already. He shot 33 on threes, which is not great, but it's not disastrous. In the end, even if Javonte Green was going to get starts or get a role, we don't really care for the most part. He did rank 285th this season, Javonte, largely because he hit what did he do? One steal a game, half a block. They're okay numbers. They're not great numbers. He declined a lot from some of his previous performance, and he's sort of a fill-in sort of a guy. That steal number is really strong, but we don't buy it. What we do buy is Sam Merrill as a real-life contributor. But for fantasy, it's a one-trick pony. And again, these sort of players exist all around the league. He hit 2 threes a game. You want to get threes, you can find him wherever you want. He's 29, he played 20 minutes, he hit 37% on threes. He could easily be a 41% three-point shooter. Easily. But he doesn't do anything else. 312th ranked player, 20 minutes a night, unrestricted free agent coming up. The usefulness in him is there, but we've got Strus. We've got Jerome. There's Hunter. There's Wade. This team is incredibly deep with great role players. If Merrill was to go to a team where they needed 27 minutes a night out of a shooter, well, maybe he gets you 14 points with 3 threes. And that's good enough for deeper formats. But the Cavs, the way their team is built, is they've got their stars, but all of their role players are just bang in their prime. 27, 28, 29. Hunter, Jerome, Strus, even Jarrett Allen. He's sort of a role player. He's better than a role player, but you know what I mean. Wade, Merrill, they're all in that peak area. So the longevity of them is not there. So while the stars are still there, and they're really good age groups for Mitchell, Mobley, and Garland, this group of role players that supplement them, they've got a short window. And then, look, the Cavs, if they're smart, would try to move those guys and bring other guys in to replace them at the correct areas and age ranges and skill sets. But this doesn't last forever at this level. Merrill, again, we'll see where he lands in free agency. I imagine the Cavs bring him back, and we just consider him, once again, a three-point streamer. The last one is not someone who is in his prime, and that is Tristan Thompson, who amazingly still played in the NBA. Again, it feels like a lot of teams are just leaning into who is our veteran who'll kick a head in of opposing teams and his own teammates if necessary. Thompson is 34. He averaged 8 minutes a game, 2 points and 3.5 rebounds. It was the year before he got suspended for drugs, I'm pretty sure. And will he be back? I don't know. Will anybody realistically care from an outside perspective? Not really, but he's there to be an influence. He's there to, I don't know, to maybe do something else with influences in certain situations that maybe his other influencer partner may have a negative influence on. I don't know. But he's around, he's a name, he played, and that's all I have to say about Tristan Thompson. Go and have another bath if you need. If your bits got a little bit dirty during this video, go and wash them up again because it is World Bathing Day. We'll be back to talk about the rest of the Cavs, including the young guys, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and an underrated guy, I think, in Jalen Tyson. Not that the minutes are going to necessarily appear, but I really like Jalen Tyson. So it'll be someone interesting to talk about, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.